Well, good afternoon, everybody. Are you there, James?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, Karen.
We've
Everybody.
got a few people still coming in, so
Yep.
I'll just give it a moment. Everyone, can you put your hand up if you can hear me clearly? We've been having some audio problems. Can I get a raised hand if you can hear me okay? Great. Thanks, Chris. Okay, so we may as well get started with just our little bit of housekeeping while we wait for a couple of more people. So welcome to our webinar. My name's Karen Bowness. I'm the Marketing Manager here at MedTech, and I'll be your webinar moderator today. With me, I have James Rohde, our Implementation and Training Manager, who's going to be sharing his expertise with us today. Hi, James.
How are you, Karen? And hello, everybody. Welcome to the webinar for 10.4.6 release.
Wow. Okay, so we've got the agenda up here. This is what the next half an hour or so, we could go over a little bit, everyone, because there's 80 odd slides. There's so many new features or enhancements in this software. So hopefully you've got a coffee with you.
Yeah,
so we'll just do a quick bit of housekeeping, and then James will go straight into the deep dive of what's in 10.4.6, and then we'll have some time for questions and answers at the end. As always, feel free to ask questions as we go through, because as you know, that's what my role here is, to answer questions. And if I can answer them, I'll answer them. If not, when James finishes, we'll pass those questions on to him. So let's have a quick look at the GoToWebinar control panel, just so we can ensure that you know how to talk to us and to use this tool. So hopefully you have a control panel that looks a little bit like this one. On that top left-hand side, you'll notice there's a couple of options. The first one is that orange arrow pointing in. If you want to minimize the control panel, you just click on that one and you'll end up then with just that smaller gray bar. The option underneath just tells you that you're muted, so you can't speak, and the option below that allows you to minimize or maximize the background screen with the slides on them. So the slides, some of the slides, there's quite a bit on, so I suggest you maximize that. All of these options work as a toggle, so to turn it on or off, you just press that option again. So to minimize, press the window option. To maximize, press it again. The one underneath is hand raising. I think you probably all know how to use that one. Or can you just go back for me, James? Sorry. Everyone can master hand raising, but if James asks you to raise your hand, all you need to do is click on that option. And then the last one is the most important, asking us questions and communicating with us. So in the box there where it says enter a question for staff, if you just type that in there and press send, that will come to James and I, and we'll be able to answer any questions you have. So these sessions are information for you, so we want to get the most out of it. So please ask as many questions as you would like. Thanks, James. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce you to James, our Implementation and Training Manager. His role is to ensure that you're able to get the most out of your investment with MedTech. So he's all about helping you to use the system and getting to know all the new features. He's an expert on all things evolution, so I'm really pleased that he's presenting this information to us today. So thanks so much, James. Over to you.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks for that warm introduction, and welcome everyone to talk about the latest release of 10.4.6 MedTech Evolution. So obviously, as Karen sort of alluded to, I would have met pretty much everyone in the past previously doing implementations and training. So we've got quite a lot of content to cover today. So we'll get stuck into it and look at some of the new outstanding and very exciting features that have gone into the latest version of MedTech Evolution. So and that slide there just points to obviously the agenda today, which is pretty high level, if I do say so. That's obviously just the release content. And so we've got a few subcategories today that we're going to go through. So the first, this is just going to break through exactly those categories, and really it's really important to note that a lot of the fixes that were brought into the release is information that we've gathered from specialists, our allied health teams, our GPs, all of our core clients to bring in functionality that really suits and caters towards the flexibility in your business. So obviously just 1 to 9 there, we'll go through them individually, but we can see that we're going to talk about report enhancements, patient register enhancements, financial enhancements, admin changes, scanning enhancements, care plan changes, health assessments changes, obstetrics, and some of the other core enhancements that were in the latest version of 10.4.6. Okay, so this is just bringing forward an update there on the sort of content we're going to cover within the report enhancements banner there. So you can sort of see there that it's got information there that we're going to talk individually about the clinical notes, income reports, and I'll work through all the different reports for provider earnings and the folder selection for incoming documents. All right, so this first screen is basically the clinical notes section in the medication script. So basically, I mean, this is more catered towards providers. So when a script has been created by GPs or nursing assistants, a space has now been provided to add the additional notes in the patient medication script, as you guys can see there below. The income reconciliation report performance changes. So a lot of this is catered for, when we talk to the front desk or the account side. So you can see there that the group by location and provider conditions have been removed from this report to optimize the pace of the report generation itself. These are now sort of found under the prompts when you go into the report wizard under accounting and income reconciliation. So there's a picture there for the age balance summary report. So that now has an option to include the credit amount along with the outstanding amount. So these are found again under the report function there, under report accounting aged balance summary. In addition, a new checkbox, as you can see there, display credit amount, has been added to the print aged balance summary report screen, which is quite familiar, I'm sure, with everyone. By default, the display credit amount checkbox you can see is ticked, and if the display checkbox or the display amount checkbox is ticked, sorry, I overstepped there, the report will show the credit amount under the appropriate. So it's a 30, 60, 90-day report. As long as that's selected, it'll be able to generate that. Okay, so transaction report time validation. So you can see now that it now provides accurate reports for staff who work on shifts spanning 2 days, as you can see from the below image there. Again, this is found under the report widget, accounting, and then under where the transaction report sits. So the next one, more focused around the provider side of things for reports. So you can see there that there's a label of the patient medical history in Report Manager now, which now displays the internal name of the patient in the addition to the report name. With this change, it is obviously easier to identify which patient the report is for. And you can also see there that the internal name will be displayed along with the report name. So if you generate this as, say, a PDF or an Adobe document, there it'll be generated there. Again, this is found under reports, the patient filter, and then medical history. Okay, so provider earnings. So we've created a new report marked provider earnings. It's basically been introduced using specifically for providers so they can track their own earnings. Users can select the required filter criteria, and then by clicking OK, they then generate the report they desire. Again, this is still found under the report section, under accounting, but under provider earnings. Then you can see the report. So just a bit of a note there that the report will be generated. Sorry, my hand's getting a bit. Click happy, only for the logged in provider. So you can see that. So if you're logged in, you need to be logged in under your provider details to generate that individual report. So the other thing is that it displays the same details that you'll see there, and very similar, as I've noted on the bottom there, to the transaction report. The only real difference being that the user can't view earnings of the other providers, which is noted there on the bottom. So the last portion is this more for the practice manager side is I know a lot of people have been using the message transfer utility. So we've set up a provision to select a folder for incoming documents, and that's been introduced obviously into the transfer utility. Using this, the user can configure the folder for storing incoming or inbound documents. If the user doesn't configure a path in the incoming documents folder, then the received, as you guys can see, PIT files will be placed in the laboratory folder. And the HL7 files, as you can see on the note there, will be placed in the referral folder. So again, I know a lot of people do use the functionality for message transfer to see results or outbound, etc., and see what's happening there. So that's under tools, message transfer, and message transfer utility. Okay, so if we can keep going through at that sort of pace, we'll be definitely able to knock through the enhancements review. So patient register enhancements. There's a little breakdown. So we're going to have a quick look through the provider number, the functionality there in the address book, and obviously the alerts for patients under or equal to the age of 14. So obviously young children, which is quite obviously a topic of conversation at this point in time to a lot of practices globally. So here's the first function. So basically, there's another new function of the address book. So pretty much once you run a search, it will now display the provider number column, and that's the sort of the unique identifier. So previously, I know in previous versions there wasn't that identifier, and so we have been asked to make sure that not only can you have an identifier there as the provider name, we've also obviously now got the provider number column there when you look in the address book function. So this is just a screen on the alerts for the patients under the age of 14. So obviously when a new registration or new patient is allocated into MedTech or into the address book, there's now going to be, obviously under the age of 14, there's going to be a prompt, pretty much there, what it says on the screen there, that says the patient is 14 years of age or younger and has been set up as an account update. So that's going to be allocated, obviously, as the patient allocated for the account holder. Okay, so now this sort of enhancements is more filtered around specific, again, to your account side of things, front desk, admin, practice managers. So you can sort of see there the financial enhancements section. So we're just going to go through one of the new site codes that have come into the repat, quick bill changes, some new annotations, and then just some of the filtering that's available. So just there on the bottom screen there, you can sort of see the second device indicator. So basically, the change is when creating a repat invoice, the service type dropdown, as you can see, will show an additional DVA Psych K for users to claim that with DVA Psych. So that includes obviously psychology or clinical counsellors. So when selecting this option, it becomes mandatory that you select the referral T. I guess it's important to know I did speak about the second device indicator. So that's an additional item they've put in, and obviously there's a checkbox in the Allied tab, as you can sort of see, and so obviously it's because it's not a mandatory when the service type, so it's not a mandatory field when you select K. So if you do need the second device indicator, you need to check that checkbox there. Okay, so quick bill changes. I guess the common function for everyone that does use the quick bill functionality, whilst creating a quick bill, The delete option has now been removed from the View Quick Bill screen. You can sort of see there, and has been replaced with an inactive option. So that gives you that functionality there to replace it and use the inactive box. For those that are interested, obviously, and providers that do use a Quick Bill function, it's under Module Accounts, Quick Bills, Quick Bill Management, View Quick Bill. And there's been another feature, obviously. In addition, we've set up a filter. So that screen has a new checkbox as well. Include inactive, so you can see it there on the left-hand side. And this is basically for the users to view inactive Quick Bills. Again, whilst you're running the Quick Bill, by default this is unticked. But obviously, when you checkbox or when you do click that in include inactive, the inactivated records, so the records that are in there, will display as a strike through. So you can see on the right hand side there that now, if we had clicked that include inactive, it'll then also show all the current Quick Bill, but then if there is another one that's been set up there by the provider. Okay, so new annotation in bulk bill. So now users can record details of any manual adjustments or overpayments in a new tab marked batch annotation. Again, you can sort of see there from the screen, it's under the batching location there that you would look under module accounts and batching. And yeah, so you can sort of see, I've just got a note there about record details of any manual adjustments or overpayments. Okay, so filter account screen changes. It's quite a big one there. So 2 new drop downs you can see on the bottom there, service provider and income provider, and they've just been highlighted as all because I guess we're showing the functionality across all providers, have been introduced to filter the records based on obviously the service provider and the income provider. So as you can see, the default value in service provider and income are already selected as all, and obviously you can then click down and pick the one provider that you want to do the filter on for the accounts. Again, they're still in the same location under module accounts, patient accounts, filter accounts. Okay, so quite a big section here in admin changes in 10.4.6. Just basically, and really taken in quite a lot of function there that we've heard and wanted to make changes in the form of our SIS enhancements. So this you can see there that we're going to go through broad things relation to appointment books, resetting attendance screens, auditing that's changed, SMS changes in the appointment pad, which is quite a big one, and then some of the other icon changes that are in appointments as well. So there you have it for appointment book changes. So we've set up another new enhancement to the appointment book report. As you can see, it now shows column marks date of birth of DOB, along with the existing phone number and notes in the following order. So it sort of breaks down between date of birth, phone, and notes. So pretty much when a patient, both home has both home and mobile numbers, the phone numbers are displayed one after the other as HM and cell. And again, obviously, given that this is a report, that's under the report function, so it's under report appointments, appointment book for those that are interested. So again, for I guess this whole content covers the majority of the admin function. So booking appointment with not the usual doctor. So you can sort of see there, there's a prompt there. So on the bottom there, it says prompt user for non-selection of usual doctor. Basically, while booking an appointment for a patient with the doctor who is not the patient's usual doctor, users basically get an alert there in the view location prompt under the location settings. So as I've sort of highlighted again, this particular one, you can see the red box around there. Again, that obviously is default not checked. So when that is checked, then obviously that'll prompt that acknowledgement. So for anyone that's interested in that, for when sort of a new patient comes in or sees the non-usual doctor, again, this is under the location. I've got the highlighted details there. So that's more under your setups, where you would set up the appointment via location. And there's again some appointment book screen changes. You can sort of see it prompts you for the non-usual doctor, and it asks you, do you want to continue? By triggering obviously yes, that'll then put you into the appointment of that particular doctor's slot there, or time allocation in the appointment book / pad, and then no obviously closes the confirmation of that screen. Okay, go to next week and next month. So you can sort of see that there's some like go-tos there, so you can navigate the appointment book date by 1 or more weeks or months, which is cool. And then obviously, you know, this is across all the sort of appointment side of things. So you can see if you have appointment overview set up, or if you've got widget for appointment book / pad, that's normally where you would see that functionality. Okay, actually I'll go back to that. That's quite interesting. There's an appointment, so there's a new note to staff on appointment book report. So again, back to the appointment book report. It's got a new modified update there. I've got it highlighted there as note to staff. And obviously this is a good configuration tool, so you can set it up under setup, appointment and template. You can see it populates there. That's got a note there: patient above 75 years age require a long appointment. So that's a good little addition there. Okay, so reset attendance screen confirmation changes. Again, you can see that highlights in the across your status screens, appointment books, and pad. So basically, when the user clicks the reset icon in the status screen, the appointment book and pad displays a confirmation message. Clicking yes will obviously set the attendance. Clicking no will close the confirmation screen without resetting the attendance. So tracking login and log off time changes. Again, still log in and clock off. So we've set up a new feature to track log in and log off time of staff members, and that's obviously been introduced for greater visibility. The report itself, there's a menu there that shows you where it sits under report. So under report, audit, log, and monitor. So there's just a breakdown on the sort of left-hand side of what the report entails, but it's a good tell if you're interested in sort of time logging in and log off services there. And obviously you can sort of see on the right-hand side, you can do a major filter. It's highlighted again, defaulted as all, but you can hide a specifically provider, etc. So this is the audit log for changing staff passwords. There's a little audit log there that obviously as an admin user you can change them, but this now presents with a log of any changed passwords. So that's obviously done via the report menu, and you can have a look what the screen does. So you obviously still have to click down and select the filters and click OK, and that'll generate a log monitor report. Recurring appointment changes. So I guess this is a good function. So the user will now be able to change the static time duration in the recurring appointment screen by editing the duration column. If the user edits the duration, the system will adjust the time slots in both the book and appointment pad screen accordingly. And again, this is still found under the same functionality as it has in the past. So still under module appointments, either appointment book or pad, but obviously under actions there, and it says on the bottom right-hand corner there that you can go to recurring appointment. So that's where that functionality sits. All right, so the SMS column, so you can sort of see there, it's got, again, with the checkbox. So a new SMS column in appointment pad, we've introduced that in order to ensure this feature. Obviously, the user must configure the display SMS column in appointment pad. So that is there under location setting appointments again. Okay, so we'll continue on. I was just basically going through the difference in the single scan versus the multi-scan document there. Basically going through that basically. So when the user selects the double sided scan document there, or multi-page documents, again, it's got the Twain scanning screen, which was similar to the single page, and it basically shows you there that the multi-page document is being loaded. So you can see when scanning a multi-page document, all the scanned pages are displayed, and again, under the patient inbox, which is very familiar with, in addition to a scroll bar, which is on that screen there, to provide access to all pages. And you can also, I did discuss about the indicator, and it sort of tells the user what page they're looking at. So bulk scan for double-sided document. So again, without going too much into the Twain scanning screen, again, you can sort of see there, again, highlighting that the scroll bar is provided, as you can see, to navigate through all the pages. And again, there's an indicator to show the user which page they're currently looking at. Okay, so of interest with so bulk scan for single page document with no ADF. So when the user selects the single page, no ADF, the Twain scanning, again, you can sort of see that highlights there on the top right. No ADF screen will be opened, indicating that the single page document is being loaded. Again, that function you can see on the bottom there is showing that, you can see it by the patient inbox, and it displays once the scanning is done through the device. You can do things like and then assign it to the patient, and you can sort of see that one as an example. You still go through the same process of find to attach it to the address book. Again, same thing occurring with the multi-page bulk scan. Again, goes through the functionality from the multi-page, populates that on the Twain scan, it comes up with a no ADF. And yeah, then you can assign it, and the scroll bar's there again. The only difference is, the other thing is that there's an alert as well that after scanning every page, it will tell you that, like, say, no automatic feeder is available. Again, that is, you can sort of see that functionality will be shown in the patient inbox. Okay, how are we going for time? We've got go through some of the care plan changes pretty snappily, and then we'll go into and then the health assessment and see how we track from there. So care plan changes. So obviously you can see the final details of the care plan changes that are available in 10.4.6. So there's the care plan final details section. So in care plan, that screen is a new text box there that's marked notes. The notes field supports any like alphanumeric and special characters, and allows entering up to, so it sort of shows you there that it goes up to 256. That's a good addition there. The care plan report as well. So you can sort of see that nurses can now add a provider name under a new created for drop-down field while creating a care plan. And in addition, sort of to these, so that there's that info there. There's a new patient consent section. So that's basically, that's a new mandatory field marked, so you can sort of see it there, it's marked created for, where the name of the provider and who the care plan is being generated should be selected. So you've got to select that, obviously. The user will be prompted with a warning if the created for field is left blank. You can see it's sort of highlighted there, and there it comes up on the care plan report, and you can see it's in the healthcare providers on team section, available under the medical practitioner itself. So it's obviously still highlighted there as the default, which is the admin user. Okay, so health assessment, we'll go through these pretty snappily, so that we can get into some of the obstetrics changes and then the final changes there. So The current medication list, medication summary section will now be printed in the health assessment practice record report. Again, found under module primary care or extended primary care health assessment. There's a age validation, so users will be able to create health assessment for all ages. A new checkbox, enable health assessment for all ages, has been introduced to implement this feature. Again, default not selected as a checkbox, so that'll remain unticked until selected. Again, once that's been checked in the system, it'll then allow to create the health assessment for patients of any age when the user has ticked the functionality. So basically, you got to check that box. And then in addition, the age content checklist will also be removed from the patient consent section in the health assessment screen there, as well as from the health assessment practice record report when printed, as you can sort of see on the top there, top left-hand side. Again, still found under module extended primary care and then under the into the health assessment form there. This is a bit of a change to the health assessment changes. So there's a display size of recommendations box. It's not bigger in the recommendation box tab. That's been set up and been increased. So now you'll have up to 1,200 characters, which is a good thing. So again, still found under extended primary care health assessment. Okay, so obstetrics changes. There's a couple there. I'm going to talk about the tab functionality and the antenatal visit changes. So obstetrics, some of the changes there to the tab. So users will now be able to save new pregnancy details. You can see it there highlighted without capturing the folic acid details. That was obviously previously a mandatory field, so that's a change there. If you wanted to do the longhand version of that, it's under module clinical patient obstetrics. And you can see some of the antenatal visit changes. So the functionality there gives you able to export the complete history of the visits into a CSV, so or sort of Excel spreadsheet as you choose. There's another note here that obviously when a user clicks the print all antenatal visit details icon, the system's going to display, you can sort of see it there, the select directory window where the user can select the required path to save it. So that's a good note. And then when you'll be able to grab that report, obviously at the end of that, because when you click the OK, it'll generate the selected path, and then they'll prompt that CSV file format, which is shown on that screen there. So there's you can sort of see they've selected the file path in the directory and it's populated the CSV file. Okay, we'll quickly whiz through the other enhancements that we probably didn't have a category for, so we decided to put them all in one bit to go through in 10.4.6. So spectrum of multiple changes there in New South Wales work cover, outbox documents, filtering, reason for visits. There's quite a few changes there, so let's quickly go through them and then we'll get into some questions. So New South Wales medical certificates fields auto population. So date of injury, employer name, address and claim number fields are auto populated now on the work cover New South Wales medical cert screen. Employer name and address fields are obviously auto populated there with the account holder details from the third party screen. Date of injury and claim numbers are now also auto populated for the third party screen. So there's just a note there on the bottom, but you can sort of, that's a good addition. Any modifications that are made to the contents of the existing work cover are overridden without creating a new document in the patient inbox. The stage of the document initial/progress will remain the same as when it was created. So it remains unchanged pretty much. Again, found under module, outbox, patient, outbox, New South Wales work comp form. Okay, so inbox results, comment column focus changes. You can sort of see in the screen below, when we create an inbox document or viewing it, the focus of the comment section will now be the end of the comment. So that's pretty obvious change. Attachment management changes, so you can sort of see again, users can now attach multiple documents in a single step, and you can also see if an incorrect document is attached, a user can remove it by clicking on the delete icon. So there's an additional delete icon there. So there's just the details there of the notes that have sort of changed there as well. Might be of interesting to note if you wanted to get into obviously those screens. It's for shortcuts. It's Control O. I'm sure everyone's used these before. And obviously users can view the file properties by selecting the file and clicking actions. View properties, or again, use Control R. Okay, so sending outbox as a PDF. High level, all the documents attached are visible in the attachment management screen. The subject and note values will be the same for all files attached during the selection process. So basically right there, you can sort of see a user can now send an outbox document to an external party as a PDF in HL7 format instead of the RTF format. You can see the PDF outbound needs to be selected as a checkbox, and if unticked, it's going to default to RTF. All right, so drug screens, increasing column size, there it is there. So on the find drug screen, that's important to note, the drug name is properly visible along with the associated details. So you can sort of see the breakdown there for pack, form, manufacturer, and PBS. When the user selects an indication, the approval number associated with the indication for use, there it is on the bottom there, is visible in the authority tab. So there's some changes there to the defaults for pathology and radiology. By default, obviously there you can see the second tab is displayed as the default tab, or opening the path and radiological records. For displaying the main tabs as a default. So again, if anyone does require this functionality or config, all you need to do is call our support desk and we'll be able to set that configuration up for you. Okay, so there's again another change to the filtering icon that's available in the provider inbox. So obviously when you're applying a filter, there's this new status that's been put in there. It's just filtering in progress, and they're selected there as a default value. Patient recalls changes. When obviously we create a new recall, there's now a recall type drop down on the screening, and the screenings obviously they're selected as a default value. If you didn't want to go through the shorthand, you can go through the standard process module, recall screening, patient recalls, and add a new recall. So again, with all the interesting stuff happening with screening, screening groups in recall screens. So you can see there a new field marked screening group has been created. The field will be displayed when the recall type, so you can see there's selected as screening, is selected as screening. The values in the code drop down will be populated on the screening group selected. So you can then, in that particular one, it's health measurements. And yeah, so basically the values in the code drop down based on that. All right, so reason for visit changes. Some interesting changes there on the reason for visit. So there's new code for appointment reasons can now be include special characters and be up to 5 characters long, which is good because it's nice to have a decent reason for visit code in, as opposed to previously it was only a couple. And then obviously these values are reflected in the reason for visit screen. Filter patient inbox. So the most recent only checkbox in the filter patient inbox screen will allow the user to club the similar documents to one and get displayed in the patient inbox screen. The documents will be merged on the basis if the subject, action, comment, and attention provider values are the same. Obviously, by default, you can see there the most recent only checkbox will be ticked. And again, if required, Medtech are happy to assist with this configuration of this feature. So quickly working through the last couple of ones here, reassigning scannings to a different patient. So you can sort of see there that you can reassign a scan or a PDF document to a different patient from the patient inbox. Users can also see the audit history in the audit tab of the document. In addition, you can sort of see there it'll ask you for like a supervisor password when you reassign it. Shown on the right hand side there. Sorting medical warnings. So a new feature to sort the columns in medical warnings screen has been introduced. Again, you can see by default the data in the columns will be arranged in a descending order. When the user clicks the column heading, the respective column will be sorted. Again, found under module clinical warnings, medical warnings. Font size. So you can see there they've increased the font size of the fields in the authority tab to basically make it easier for everyone to view. Approval number field in the authority tab under the module clinical new prescription will now accept the uppercase characters, which is a good addition. Again, found under your module under clinical new prescription. Font size by printing status screen changes. Again, the font size of the status screen print has been increased. So you can see that it's a lot more bold and big for better readability. Patient manager, the action column in the inbox tab of the patient screen has been moved to the end. You can see on the right hand side. Again, still found under module clinical patient manager. Medication print screen changes, so quite a good change here. So there's a tick mark to indicate that a medication script has been printed, which is a good addition because a lot of times that is the sort of wrap up of a consult when you are printing. So you can see there, it's also visible on your patient medication screen consult. So you can sort of see it there on the consult that it's ticked that you've actually printed that script. Okay, and there's just some of the pictures and how it looks like from that. Going through the medications tab and then in the daily record there, you can see both of them are selected as ticked. Okay, so Karen, I know we've gone quite significantly over time, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, James, and I think we covered quite a bit.
We did, didn't we?
Everybody's still here. There's no questions though.
Okay.
So you must have done a great job giving everyone all of the information
I think we both lost it. So maybe we'll preempt a few questions, will we, Karen? There, or is it? Do we have any questions from the broader audience? Feel free to update them into the chat box.
Yeah, that would be great. There's nothing there. We did have a couple of questions about the slides that we'll be sending a link to those for everybody in the follow-up email that will go out in about an hour. I'll quickly load the PDF up and then you can access it, and we will edit the video recording to take out those bit of empty space, of empty sound, and then we'll make that available on Insight Portal.
Yep, absolutely. I think one thing we might highlight there might, because I'm sure there'll be, I've had some questions raised ad hoc, is obviously some of the functionality for obviously a lot of the stuff that's happening globally with the COVID-19 epidemic and obviously locally with sort of SafeScript. So obviously we are working on and it's going to be like factored into the latest release and result and actually part of the involvement in our Manage My Health portal to ensure that we have got the functionality in there for screening patients, obviously, and giving the necessary alerts before they arrive into clinic. So a lot of the technology, has its own pre-consult questionnaire type platforms. So we're obviously currently, working through that, and it's obviously been quite a topical conversation. The addition of SafeScript, because a lot of people have obviously asked about that from the human services perspective as well. That functionality is also currently coming into a hot fix. So we'll hopefully be releasing that as an additional hot fix within 10.46 release. Okay, so yep. So Karen, do we have any other? Yeah, I think that can be a wrap. Do we have anything else from your end that you'd like to share before we close off?
No, not that I can think of. We
Yep.
will be having these sessions regularly, hopefully monthly. So we'll send an email invitation to those. We've got a client newsletter coming out soon. So we'll put some details in that as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thanks so much, James.
No worries. And obviously all the content, as stated by Karen, is going to be available via the website, and obviously commonly, as we're moving straight towards your Insight portal, that's where, obviously all the content of this webinar is going to be sitting. So thanks for everyone's time, and have a great afternoon.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon. Bye.